Welcome back to the Drivetime Podcast. I'm really excited for this week's episode. I'm joined in the studio by Johan Sundstrand, who is the co-founder of Phyron.
Yes.
So this is part of our AI series, and we're going to start to really bust some of the myths and explain what the bloody hell's going on with AI, because there's so much coming at us thick and fast. So Johan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here.
I can't wait for this conversation. So I think AI, there's a lot of myths to bust, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
But just to start with, I wanted just to kind of talk a little bit about you, because you've got a really interesting background, and this is not the first thing you founded. You've done a number of really interesting, innovative things. So I thought, let's just go back to a bit about you and kind of where you started and a bit about your story.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been within this space, or within marketing space, my whole life, basically. So two decades now. I just turned 40. So I started my first business when I was 19. And then since then, I've been running companies within the marketing space, basically. So it's all about support sales processes with efficient marketing tools or consultancy services like creating website, creating content, helping them support with sales techniques or anything around sales, basically. But within automotive, it's pretty new. So this is the first company within that sector, basically. I used to have a lot of automotive clients, but not like this.
Okay.
So it's been marketing consultancy agencies. It's been content management tools, basically, to manage content on your website, to promote yourself better in all different varieties. And the latest company, which I sold to a French-American company, was all about programmatic ads. So basically, you could steer ads towards the most important accounts. Nowadays, it's called account-based marketing. Mm-hmm. So we use display ads, and then we just promoted them all over the web, but basically just towards IP addresses. It was actually pretty interesting back then because we signed a few OEMs from this space. And I haven't really seen that many other companies doing exactly what we did back then. I think the OEMs should do this as well, because they sign a lot of framework, right? And the framework is just like a hunt and to sell, or a license to sell. And what we did back then is that we surrounded all the employees working at a specific company with ads and surrounded them with display ads for the IP addresses. So you could steer your cars that were within that framework agreement towards all the employees working at that company. So they chose you instead of the other OEM who also signed framework agreements. So we reached the end buyer. So we helped them to scale the framework agreements. It was pretty cool.
Okay, we're going to have to unpick some of that because there's a lot there to go at.
Yeah.
So just go back to you're 19. Where was the kind of 19-year-old Johan going, your parents probably going, go to uni, do a thing.
Yes.
And you're like, no, I'm going to launch a company. Not that many 19-year-olds do that. So just talk about where you were at 19 and what inspired you to launch a business.
The story behind this, I was heading to Santa Barbara in the US to pick up my language skills because I was Swede.
You grew up, where did you grow up exactly?
Stockholm.
In Stockholm,
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm a Swede. Now I just relocated to the UK. But basically, I was like everyone else in Sweden. They were heading abroad directly after to study English, basically. So I was heading to Santa Barbara. I found everything. I think we more or less already paid for everything. But then I met this crazy entrepreneur. And he was like, you used to compete in golf when you were younger? Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, I did. I have this golf shop which I just opened. You want to run it? I was like, sure, let's do that for a year.
In Sweden or in Santa Barbara?
Mm-hmm. In Sweden. So should I stay, run a golf shop, create some experience, or should I go to Santa Barbara? I can go to Santa Barbara after that. So I just said yes. And he dropped me off at the golf shop. And back then, it was actually the biggest golf shop in Sweden at the golf club. So
nice.
It was huge, nothing in it. And he gave me the keys and said, good luck. So that was the start. And then I had to hire, stuff. I had to, buy stuff.
So it was an empty shop?
It was an empty shop.
And a golf course?
Yes. They had pre-orders, a couple of stuff, but basically it was me, myself, and a huge golf shop. An empty space.
And did you have a chunk of money to spend? Did you kind of say, right, here's the money.
Yes.
I can't be bothered. I've got this space.
Yes,
I'm too busy.
I didn't even think about money, actually. I just ordered stuff.
Yeah.
He was as crazy as I am today. So it was absolutely me. I stayed there for 2 years.
Nice.
2 years. And then after that, I met another crazy entrepreneur, who asked me if I could start another business for him. I said yes, but let's do that together. So we started together. Then that was the first time we actually did like sales and marketing together. So running a retail shop, from them helping them to create and sell insurances, different sort of like saving packages for kids, funding stuff for insurance companies. That was the first thing I did.
Wow.
And then I sold that business, and then I just went on starting businesses like that.
Yeah. Did you ever make it to Santa Barbara? I want to know.
No.
It's like, I'm going to go to Santa Barbara. I'm not going to Santa Barbara.
No, unfortunately not.
So you cut your teeth. I think that's what's really interesting, Johan, is you cut your teeth in retail, like
Yes.
specialist retail.
Yes.
And understanding a consumer base who wanted a thing to do a thing.
Yes.
So you either, my partner plays golf and he thinks he's terrible, so I have no comment. But he kind of gets all annoyed about the whole in a game of golf.
Yeah.
And how that all works. So it's and I love watching the Masters, but I think you're either, it's like tennis. You get into it when you're watching Wimbledon. People are either into golf or they're not.
100%.
So what did you learn when you set that business up? What were the biggest things that you either surprised you from working in retail, or the biggest lessons that you took from that? Because obviously we'll come on to this, but we work very much in specialist retail.
Yeah.
But the product is automotive and the thing is driving.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of similarities that we can draw from your very early 19-year-old self of what you learned going in with an empty shop and a bit of money.
Yes.
So talk about that. What your biggest lessons were from that?
I mean, first of all, it was just get things done, get started. Don't think too much. Don't create any big, huge business plans. Just get started, because you will change the business plan 50 million times. Right?
Yes.
So just get started.
Test and learn.
Exactly. That's been my biggest lesson from the moment I started my first entrepreneur journey. I mean, just start. And he gave me the keys and said, go ahead. And that's what I did, basically. So I think that's the biggest learning lesson to any entrepreneur today. Just start. And then you can pick up the rest, and you can change, and you will probably change it 50 million times.
Yeah.
And then when running a retail shop, it was all about, back then at least, I mean, customer service was everything. And I absolutely loved to meet customers. I loved that it created that experience, and also to build a brand. I think we created back then an amazing brand as a golf club and as a golf shop. And I think we were one of the most profitable golf clubs in Sweden back then.
Nice.
And that was also not just because the golf course was amazing, was the whole experience, the whole like golf club experience of being within a group of members that actually have a lot of fun together, and there's an experience, and everyone is very welcomed, and the restaurant was amazing. Like, everyone came together and created a fantastic experience. And the golf shop was part of that. And the year after, I also ran the golf club. Not the whole golf club, but like booking tea times and everything like that. I don't even know what that's called in English, but
yeah. You book you tee off at a certain time. You'll book your slot, and then you kind of go and.
So we integrated that into the golf shop. So it was basically the whole golf club at 21 years old.
So was it a digital experience, or was it mainly all about people, person to person?
It was all about people.
Community.
100%. 100%. You could book some tea times digital, but I mean the majority still called.
Yeah, for at 9. Yeah, sure,
exactly. Yeah. Have you saved my spot for 7 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah.
I have.
See you then.
See you then.
Wow. Okay. So then you mentioned you went on to the next business that you launched.
Yes.
You mentioned insurance. So just explain, because I didn't really understand what that business was or how it evolved, because I think this is all sort of setting you on a path to kind of, I love that I think of myself as a lifelong learner, and I don't know, I think sometimes you trust the universe will take you where you're going to be, and you kind of think, oh, I'm curious about that, I'm going to go do that. So you don't have to just stay doing what you've always done.
Definitely not.
So that's probably helped you to adapt and like completely go with the zeitgeist, which is, we're going to talk about AI. So following the golf club, then you left and went to do something else.
I left. I met another crazy entrepreneur who, because I did that for 2 years, and like I need to do something else. I didn't have a single hour of vacation for 2 years. not a single hour. I was there like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning, and I left like 8 or 9 in the evening for 2 years, consistent years. I had 0 vacation days, never sick. Like that was my life. It was super fun. But then like, let's do something else, and I met him, and he had just started up a pretty big insurance broker.
Right. So it's a brokerage.
Sweden. Yes, exactly. He's been running that for like 2 years. Now it's probably one of the biggest companies in the Nordics.
Right.
It's been a rocket ship since then. And he had tons of insurance products and savings products that he wanted to get help with package, create content for websites, and then help sell, basically. So I helped him to create websites, create the content, hire people, actually cold called. That was the thing. So going from that to, at the end, I think I had 150 people cold calling, selling the products throughout Sweden, basically.
Yeah.
And then took care of all the advertising materials, websites, everything that was...
Some people are terrified of cold calling. Actually, my first ever job was telephone sales.
Yeah.
And you learn such an amazing... The training was fantastic. We learned how to pick up the phone, and it's a numbers game, isn't it? You pick it up, it's no.
You know what my first job was? I was like 15. I wanted to get some extra money. So during the weekends, I sold toilet paper.
No way!
Yeah, that's what I did for like a year.
Wow.
Yeah, I made crazy money, actually. Yeah, so we cold called like wealthy areas, like, hey, do you want to buy a big...
Like a bundle.
Like
so you haven't got to go to
bundle.
the supermarket
like
and
a
buy
huge
it.
Bundle.
You just will just deliver
it's the best
it.
paper, and get delivered on recurring every month. Like, I still remember it. And then we like throw in some dishwater or something like that. Yeah.
Amazing. But actually now I went through I've started to subscribe to certain things that I don't want to have to buy at the supermarket because it's just big and bulky. So I think, again, you were kind of way ahead of your time with that. But I think cold calling is just, even now we see, some people are just terrified of the phone.
Yes.
They don't want to pick it up because, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody might say no.
Cold calling still works. I do not pick up my phone, but cold calling still works.
Yeah. In certain instances, it can do, but
it's all about the message.
Yeah, exactly.
Or actually how you say it.
Yeah.
The message everyone can write, but it's about how you say it.
But you mentioned insurance products, savings products.
Yes.
So you're packaging up. I actually think finance, and we will come and do a series about fintech as well. I think finance is one area where you can really innovate. So in terms of product manufacturing, it just takes years to build and tool and manufacture vehicles. But you can then stimulate market growth and, with financial products, because interest rates fluctuate.
Yes.
You've got adaptability in the markets where you can start to either, control inflation by putting interest rates up or down, or stimulating market, mortgages. So I think that's, again, it was probably a really huge, interesting time for you. So you were 21 at this point, just kind of doing the timeline, and you then worked in financial services or like in the financial space.
Yes.
So following that, so you've kind of done that for a couple of years, raised a team. So then what next?
I did it for 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we evolved into becoming more like an agency. So, but a professional service agency. So we were not just creating cool ads and websites. We were also helping them to become their outsourced marketing and sales department.
Yes.
So we had, as I said, we had a cold calling or a call center, cold calling. So we had a lot of people, so we could actually help them to distribute also the message and the product, or market the product. That's also what we did for 50 or 60 other financial companies within Sweden.
So you did your thing really well, and then when everybody else come and do what we're doing.
Yes, and then at the end I was like, okay, so this is great, but I want to do something completely on my own. Because I run the company with other founders. Then I want to do something completely on my own. And then I started a business that could do more or less the same, but help them to steer the message towards the most important accounts.
Yeah. And this is the bit where I think we talked about this. We had a quick call a couple of days ago, just to kind of, because weirdly, most of the other people on the podcast I've either known before they've come on the podcast, but you and I, we've never really spoken until the other day. And then we found lots of similarities.
Yes.
So when you talked about programmatic advertising, so when I went to work for Auto Trader, they'd made that switch from from print to digital. And I think your journey goes from cold calling into digital advertising. So you start to be a lot more targeted based on the data, and you can take a product based on a consumer's behavior. So I remember when we launched the programmatic team at Auto Trader, it was like a new shiny thing, but it meant that you can start to target based on the consumer's behavior, get the right message to the right person at the right time. So that's where we start to see the early iterations of what we now call AI, but it's gone through that iteration of machine learning. So you start to track behavior. So you have confirmation bias, so all these psychological triggers that mean that the technology follows the way that humans are wired. So it feels intuitive. There's lots of psychology that goes on behind the engineering scenes that make it feel like it's really...
Definitely. And during that time, we signed a lot of retailers and some manufacturers. I mean, they went through this digital transformation. I mean, starting to close.
They're still going through it.
Still going through
it.
Yeah. But they were closing a lot of stores, and they basically started to sell online. And it went on for a pretty long time and still. But a lot of them today, they are run more like, they look more like a software company rather than a physical retailer, right?
Yeah.
They have really transformed themselves. So I think that was the bet we thought when we will come to that, when we started Phyron. But the digital transformation that the auto dealers have seen, or what we saw the auto dealers would go through, we thought that would be similar to the e-com and the retail business, but it hasn't really been.
No, talk about that. Because I think last night I was doing a bit of research on some of the work that you've done, because you've kind of gone viral, Johan. You're like, you have. So we talked about some of the stuff that you've said a couple of controversial but absolutely right things, that there's, first of all, you said 18 months ago, cars are going to be sold, all cars, or could be using AI. And then the other thing that you said on your NADA thing was about the failure rate. And I go to events sometimes and you'll see the startup village, and there's loads and loads of startups, and not all of them are going to make it.
No, definitely not.
So, but you just coming back to what you said there about the automotive digital transformation, and you mentioned that in your NADA thing, is that AI and machine learning requires quality data in an accessible way. So, and actually we know this because the work that obviously we do is we're trying to ingest the data from multiple sources to make it accessible at the point of use for a retailer or for a consumer. So that requires some of that magic to go on in the back end to allow certain tasks to be performed in the digital space. So just talk a little bit about what you found coming into auto as you've started to build out businesses, and you were signing OEMs and retailers for programmatic advertising. So you work a lot with marketplaces across Europe. Just, I think it's really useful just to talk about that. So a lot of your experience has come from, and I learned huge amounts working with Auto Trader, because I'd gone from a fleet with a very small audience, but big buyers, to consumer and Auto Trader, massive marketplace, loads of traffic, lots of people browsing, like huge amounts of data because you can track what they're doing. So when you started working with the marketplaces across Europe, I mean, they've got masses of traffic, haven't they? And they have hundreds of thousands of units of stock coming through those platforms at any one time. So just go through that kind of the learning of, we're building out tools to be able to build like optimizing SEO or serving you in the right way. So just explain a little bit about how that agency worked and what you found.
I mean, first of all, you are spot on when it comes to like data. I mean, there's so many tools today, even before AI became very viral. It's all about the quantity, but quality is more important than quantity, right? But I think you said something now which I haven't said, but it has to be accessible, because you can have a lot of data. It could be of great quality, but if it's not accessible, you can't really use it, right?
Yeah.
And within this industry, what I've learned is that a lot of systems are like dinosaurs. They are so old, and systems can't really talk or interact with the systems. And data is gold nowadays. Like, if you don't have proper data, you will fail implementing AI. So I think when you start to look at, I mean, AI projects has more or less like an 80% failure rate. It's quite a lot, right? That's twice the amount of non-AI project. So we still fail implementing stuff, right?
Yeah.
But 80% fail. that's mainly because of the dinosaur systems and lack of quality data. And there are other few things also because people just buy new shiny cool things without really thinking from big corp tech fancy companies, and then trying to solve a problem which AI really can't solve without you yet. So it's the failure rate, it's quite big. So you need to make sure to have quality data.
I think that's the one thing. So we had Sarah Noble from Deloitte in the studio, and she talked a lot about when we did a bit about myth busting or whatever. It's like she said it's the data. It is the data piece. She said everyone that I know or that she works with, because they work globally with OEMs on these transformation projects, trying to implement the shiny new tech.
Yes.
So it's like, so they're literally at the coalface of all of that transformation and working with those companies. And she said they all know it's going to be costly to do it. It's a costly exercise taking data from all the different sources. She said, but you have to it's going to be costly and it's going to be painful, but you have to do it. And I think we've been through that pain of taking all of that data that's locked in systems and pulling it into a hosted solution. So we actually partner with AWS to do that, because we need to make sure that the data is in a way where we can access it, and it's making sure that it's secure as it's hosted, because we're hosting our customers' data to enable them to do the things that they need to do. But you're right, it's like, how can I buy a shiny new thing if I've got an on-prem solution? I can't. If it's on-prem, you're not going to be able to do stuff. It's really hard. But I think that's part of the learning and the education that we are trying to help, partly through this podcast, make the knowledge that you need to get things right. So you don't just buy something that isn't going to work. You get the foundations right first.
Yes.
So you find out, first of all, where do you host your data? And then what do you want to do with it? So what's your end goal? And then come back. So I want to be able to do this. Great. So what steps do I need to take? I can't put the roof on until I've built some foundations.
Exactly.
So yeah, God, fascinating. So just sort of coming back then, so you've gone from the programmatic space and building advertising, and then you kind of came across there's all this data and it's nowhere to be found, and it's all locked in these very old systems. And again, where we, as I mentioned, we ingest data literally from the factory, from the manufacturer, as the stuff is coming off production lines. And those systems, again, are going through upgrades all the time. So what is it that, we'll kind of go on to so what do you do about that? So how can we help customers be ready for that?
Yeah.
Because we're firing all this stuff at them.
Yes.
Like agentic AI, and they're like, I don't know what that means, or I don't know how to use it, but I feel like I should have it, you know? So let's just sort of go through the next step of your kind of iteration, so from programmatic. And then you mentioned that when we spoke a couple of days ago about the agency that you launched called Freya, which was another kind of step in your journey. So talk about that, because that was another fascinating project.
It's Freya was the programmatic ad company. Basically
right.
Doing ads, but also helping them to create some content, because the client gave us a lot of content. A lot of display ads wasn't really great, because when you advertise always on, you need to update frequently, and you need to A/B tests and change message based on the company back then you wanted to steer the message to. And usually the big brands back then just had one or two big campaigns they wanted to run, but it was very different from running if you just signed a framework agreement selling a BMW 5 Series or BMW 3 Series. You need to have that specific content towards that specific account, and then you signed another one with a BMW X3. You need a separate sort of ad sets towards these accounts. So we needed to adopt, and we needed to change the message. So we tried to help them also. So that was basically the bridge from being a consultancy agency and running consultancy businesses to creating a platform. So we created a content platform and programmatic platform that could do everything for them automatically, basically. So that was my also transformation going into, okay, let's do platforms, because platforms can be so much efficient than humans, and let's work with that instead. So that was the first time I started to create softwares.
So the framework agreement would be, I'm going to buy X number of impressions for that vehicle on that platform. That's your kind of framework.
Basically, I'm going to target HBSC's employees. They have 30,000 employees. I have no idea. And I want every single one of them to see my cars.
Right.
So basically, how many impressions do I need to deliver to that account in order to get all the employees to see my cars at least 10 or 15 times?
So would that be like fleet? You're marketing to fleets,
Yeah,
basically. Oh, I
100%.
see. I didn't realise. So
it's
actually, you mentioned postcode targeting. So I'm going to find, say, for example, it's GlaxoSmithKline.
basically
I'm going to
IP
target their postcode.
Yeah,
Or
basically
their IP addresses.
IP addresses. Exactly.
Oh,
So if you worked
interesting.
at the company at HSBC, they have a range of IP addresses, and then you go into the Times or I don't know, Daily Mail, wherever you go. Display ads were changed.
Is that legal? So you can.
It is.
So you can literally, you're corporate stalking.
Yes, we use it today as a marketing tool, so everyone can use it, and anyone can use it.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
This is
So
incredible.
it's all about. I think that's more or less everyone can reach anyone today.
Yes.
With the right channel. Not everyone can purchase like a Super Bowl spot, right? But more or less anyone can buy any with the right kind of money and connections. You can buy anywhere. But it's all about how you say it, right? It's all about how you say it. Like I can say something, and then I just saw Tony Robbins a couple of days ago. I mean, when he speaks, like that's just hits you, right?
He holds a room, doesn't he?
Gosh, I can't do that. So, but I could say the same thing, but I can't do that.
But that's all
So
about
it's all
performance, though, isn't it?
It's about performance.
He's big,
but, yeah,
presence, you know.
yeah,
so,
but it's about how he say it.
yeah.
And that's the same thing. Everyone has more or less the same product out there today, but it's about how you present it, how you say it. And during the programmatic ad period within display ads, what we saw back then was that if they gave us video outperformed anything because video creates emotions.
Yes.
And emotions drives all our buying decisions. Like 95% of all our decisions are made by our unconscious mind. So without emotions, we will not make a decision. And video is the most powerful market tool in the world of creating feelings. So that's basically why video outperform everything else. And that's why my kids
scroll forever.
The only thing they look at is video, basically. If it's still like, why is it broken? Hello, is it broken? Like, no, it's an image. Why?
So that's a really interesting point. So I think one of the first things I learned when we were trained in telesales was people buy on emotion, not logic.
Yes.
64% of decisions are based on emotion, not logic. So when you hear people selling facts, whatever, like switched off, I'm not interested. A car is a really emotional purchase.
100%.
So there's a couple of things there. So targeting corporate stalking is legal. You heard it here.
Yeah.
So you can target. And I used to work in fleet actually for years, but I didn't realise that was a thing.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. You can find people that way. And then the other thing, evolving from what you learnt there was static ads, fine, video, much better. So I think we did, we looked at, and I've completely forgotten the name of the, it's the IAB. So the IAB, the Internet Advertising Board, used to publish the stats of where people would go, dwell time, and how you would find people. So we talked about paid, owned, earned media. So if you think about you're going to pay for the Super Bowl example, you've got to pay for that multi-million-pound slot to find people. And then earned and owned. So earned, I want to get you to come to my site.
Yes.
And then owned, you come to me first. So owned, YouTube have huge amounts of traffic because kids are now going there to learn about loads of stuff. And actually that's probably outperforms Google in terms of some searches. And then most of us go through our Alexa device to ask it a question about something. I ask it every day what the weather's going to be, so I know what I'm going to wear. Before I've even opened my blinds, what's the weather in London? Do I need a hat or not? Yeah. So just thinking then about video, because obviously this is now your sweet spot and this is where you've developed Phyron to kind of come and just to deal with all of that, is video and content are king. And all you have to do is look on the train to see people doom scrolling for hours. And I see my kids, I'm like, for God's sake, turn it off.
Yes.
And I set limits on when they were younger, I set limits on their phones to try and manage the crap that was going into their eyes. So video content, emotion, and we talked a little bit about the psychology of how technology mirrors human behavior. So it understands confirmation bias. So show me more of what I like.
Yes.
That's what that means. And also keep me engaged with video. So talk about video content and some of the stats around it. So dwell times, all of that, because it's fascinating. And then how you've started to use AI to enhance images. And I think this is the game changer for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after I sold the company, I had to stay for a couple of years. It was amazing, but then at the end, I met these other co-founders who run Phyron together with me today. And
How did you meet them, by the way? How did that come
I
about?
actually was introduced by a former investor, a VC company who invested in my former businesses, and we had a pretty successful run together. And then they said, you should go and meet these guys because they are up to something. You are talking about video all the time. They're talking about video all the time, so you guys should meet.
Yeah.
So I did. And they had invented a product which could personalize videos. It could dress videos. So you can produce one big video, and then you can dress that video with personalized information from the receiver. So you could say, "Hey, Jackie," basically, and then create, your your name on the number plate and stuff like that. So it looks personalized, but it was not. So they had invented a way of creating unlimited amount of videos, personalized. So I met with them, and they were coming from running huge SEO agencies in the Nordics, actually the biggest SEO agency in the Nordics. And one of the guys, he used to produce small blockbuster videos, movies like Lord of the Rings, for example.
As you do.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the coolest scenes in the world has been behind, like as a visual effect artist, is one of the best in the world.
Oh my God.
So it was all about storytelling, right? That is all about storytelling.
Yeah.
And engagement. And he was coming from that. It's like, how can we together mass produce videos on a large scale?
Yeah.
Automatically, because produce a video costs so much money. That was the reason behind my former company not receiving videos from everyone, because it was just a bit of a mess to produce a video.
Yeah,
right?
Production's expensive.
For us, it's expensive and it's complicated. So they had invented, a product that could do that, and then together we discussed for half a year, like how can we recreate this system to help retailers create videos for each and every product they have listed on their website. So we were not thinking about automotive. We were thinking about, so we know retail very well. We know how to create feelings. We know how to create storytelling. And he knows how to create video very well. So how can we then combine automation with storytelling, and how can we mass produce videos for retailers? Mm-hmm. And then it took us a year to launch the company. And then after that, we just signed a lot of e-commerce companies. Our first client had almost 250,000 products listed on their website.
Oh my God. And was that across everything, or was it specific
cosmetics?
Oh my God.
It was everything from like a shampoo to a brush to like everything in between.
It's fast commerce, isn't it now? It's like...
Yeah.
People are marketing mascara to me all the time because I'm 52 and apparently my lashes are terrible. I don't care.
I have so many videos of mascaras.
I don't care.
Saved in my computer, actually.
Are your lashes really short, Johan? Really?
You.
Do you care?
Yeah,
not really.
Exactly.
I was like, but it is. But it obviously is hitting on a... I think the way that we market to women, which is terrible, is you've got to meet some kind of beauty ideal.
Yeah.
And I'm over that. I just don't care. So, but when you've got younger kids, it's like it's worrying. But you're right, though. It's triggering an emotional. It's triggering an emotional response.
And you know what? That entrepreneur today, he's just. I think that company is basically it's a rocket ship today. It was very early when we met them, and now it's just a rocket ship. One of the biggest, cosmetic companies in the Nordics today. They are outgrowing everyone else. And I remember something he said to me during that time, because I was like, oh, so retail, now we have to focus about these, numbers, ROI, like CTRs, CTAs, like conversion rates have to be as good. And what's your customer acquisition cost? And I was like, oh, we need to create a one-pager. It's like, I don't care. I just want to build my brand. That's the only thing I care about. I want to create an experience. I want to build a brand. I want to build a brand as powerful as the former physical stores, but I want to do it online. I want to create I want to drive traffic, I want to create feelings, and I want to create a brand. That's still what they're focusing on today. They don't care about these numbers. It's all about getting people to like them and create a feeling and create a community and experience.
And that kind of goes really into the heart of storytelling and community.
Yes.
So I think that's so important, isn't it? So
it is so important.
So it goes back to your golf. It's like you've got a community around that experience.
Exactly.
So and it's an emotional connection
Yes.
that's powerful. So I
It's
think
so
that's
powerful.
really, really important.
It's so powerful.
Wow, gosh, wow, amazing. So cosmetic brands, and I love the idea that they weren't just obsessed with click-through rates
No.
or
Some were still very focused on these hard numbers as an e-com company. You can measure so much, right? And you should, but you should never forget your brand.
no. And it's the feeling. So I love people always remember how you made them feel. It's not about, and the difficulty we have in automotive is that when you walk into the retailer, the journey can be inconsistent. So this is where it's so important. We have to work so hard. Somebody made a comment on a LinkedIn thing I put out the other day that, because I said, I was interviewed on another podcast and it was, you can put my grandfather in a vehicle and he won't know how to start it, but you could put him in a retail showroom and he could, the journey hasn't really changed.
No,
so
that's true.
In some cases it has. And I know that some retailers work really hard with their online in-store, connect it all up, but it's inconsistent. And I think that's the challenge that we have. So how do we then start to bring in all of the amazing stuff? So one of the things, Johan, I was really curious about, because obviously you've taken all of that amazing video storytelling and applied it to automotive. So you can just do what was the kind of video walk around or take all the static pictures and it knits it together and creates a 3D video. So you can see it. We had there were other products that were coming out where it would automatically sew all the images together and you could do the 3D image, but you've kind of gone a bit more than that. You've actually adapted it all for every single platform. So it looks native to the platform. It looks like it belongs in that space. And then you build the storytelling around it.
Correct.
Does that then lead to, because if it's AI enhanced, is there a risk that when you do then walk in, the car doesn't look like the thing that you've seen online? Or how do you manage that? How do retailers manage that bit?
I think that's extremely important. The first thing you said here is also very important. I mean, you need to adapt to the channel. I think that was what I've learned from my former experience. Like what works on Facebook will not work on your website and will not work on TikTok or YouTube. And different formats for different platforms. And their algorithm will then optimize you and promote you better, right? It's like Auto Trader also, in a way. Like if you have great specs, a lot of images, videos, I mean, you will be more visible. And if you go to Google, the first thing that will appear, if you have optimized your website or your content, you will appear on the first page, right?
Yeah.
If it's not optimized, you will disappear. So just Facebook has 4 video formats. And then carousels and bundles and stuff like that. So just to be able to advertise on Facebook, you need to optimize. So meaning you need different videos, different images for different channels. That's pretty tough, right?
It's a lot. It feels like it's very labor intensive and actually,
it is.
and also it's a skill that most retailers don't have.
No.
So, we see a lot of and the reason that we did the podcast in the first place was because there's a lot of experience in the automotive space with people that have worked in it for a long time, but that experience doesn't necessarily enable them to adapt at the speed that we need them to adapt to for all of these new things that are coming out of Silicon Valley. So it's like, oh my God, I've got to have reels and other ads and. I've got overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do it. I'm not doing it.
I mean, basically, you can't do that without AI and automation today. It's impossible, actually. If you have a lot of cars, if you have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, it's fine. But if you have above 50 cars, you can't do that yourself. And then, I mean, we have, 4,000 dealerships today across 35 countries and a lot of cars advertised every single second. And usually an average customer update 2.6, 2.7 times their listing. Then you need to update all the channels like price, new imagery, new location, you sell it internally. Then it's not just about publishing it the first time, it's also about keeping it updated, which is quite a struggle. Yeah.
I mean, the pricing is a really good one. So again, when, Auto Trader would start to, and they do now, you can have real market pricing. So actually, don't wait 30 days and change your price. Constantly check to the market. And some retailers advertise that they won't be beaten on price because they will adapt their pricing. The data is out there to be able to adapt your price accordingly. So the market will fluctuate. Don't just wait till day 30 and then drop it. Adapt based on the data that's available. Back to that point of, is the data available? How can I make sure that I don't have to look at 125,000 SKUs? I can set that to automate to the market
I mean, we have seen what works for retail, right? So
Yeah.
it's just about mirror what's already working.
Yeah. And I mean, like John Lewis, great brand, never knowingly undersold. They will always look for their competition.
Yes.
They closed my local store. I'm not over it yet. So let's just I have to travel. It's annoying. So okay. So just kind of carrying on then about the storytelling. And I think the biggest lessons that you've learned since working with these, I mean, what a great introduction that you had from that investor that said, oh my God, you should talk to these guys. You're just on the same page.
Yes.
So how has that kind of evolved over time? Do you all still get on? Is that kind of on where, and what next? You know, because you've developed a great product.
We do very well, and I think that's obviously a big challenge. And my co-founders have known each other for almost 20 years, and I was the new guy, but I mean we get along so well, and sometimes it's very good to have someone that you can really rely on 100%. And sometimes you go through challenges, it's ups and downs. It's been pretty good for us, but still there's obviously tons of challenges ahead, and also we've been through a couple of challenges, but I mean we are a powerhouse together. So we have, and also I think we have so much fun.
Yeah.
And even though we are a remote first company, I have co-founders in Sweden. I have a co-founder in halftime Curacao. I have one co-founder in Dubai. So, and I'm here. So yeah, we go to Berlin tomorrow to meet for a couple of days. That was the only place in Europe we could actually find 2 days to meet.
Oh my
Everyone
God.
has so much to do. Like, where can we meet for 2 days?
Yeah.
And then we were at Autobus, the marketplace conference.
Yeah.
Actually runs right now. And one of my co-founder was there. It's like, let's go to Berlin. That was the only place we could meet.
I think I was looking at I did some corporate stalking, legal, about some of you guys. So I was looking at some of your CTO is based in Dubai, isn't he? So yeah,
exactly.
He looks like an interesting guy.
But we're still a Swedish company, and we do all our management meetings and board meetings. Everything is done in Sweden. Our headquarters is there. I go there all the time. So Sweden is basically still our headquarters, even though we have a lot of people here in the UK now. Yeah,
I mean, you're expanding at such a rate of knots, and I think you are. The one thing and you mentioned Tony Robbins earlier on, and I listened to sort of lots of influencer Gary Vaynerchuk. The one thing you mentioned about failure rate, I think the one thing, because you've been going now for 7 years, and I think what's really interesting is that everything has exploded in AI, and everyone thinks it's happened like now, and it hasn't actually. It's taken a lot of work to build up and iterate and learn. And then go again. And the secret to success, I think, is longevity. Actually, is finding people that you can work with, that you trust, and that you stick at it.
Yeah.
And you do something that you can see. I love that it's based on an emotional connection, and that you're based on storytelling, because that's what people, particularly in automotive, it's about. My purpose in life is how can we make it easier for someone to buy from you? And I've been through a number of companies where I think, I don't know about e-commerce, I'm going to go work for that agency. And I spent some time working for a retail e-commerce agency, and I learned loads from them. And they work with brands like Jules and Argos. So it's how do we learn from the traditional retail and bring all of the best bits into the automotive space, so that you have that. Get me right, make me feel special, understand where I'm coming from, target me with the right product. So what, in terms of like your roadmap then, so you've built an incredible product, and I know if people want to find out more, absolutely go check out what you're doing online, and they'll find you at shows and various things. But I love that it seems it's so automated and so easy and accessible for anyone that wants to learn how to do it. It's not going to cost you millions of pounds in production. No. Now, sadly, my son is just finishing college as a film producer, so he will want to go and work in film that isn't AI generated. But I think the creative process there's still a huge place for that, obviously, in terms of creativity and how you film in live locations. So so what's next? What's on the roadmap coming? What can we expect to see from you guys?
I think we talk about storytelling. I think we go through some challenges, and we change also how we communicate. And I think Phyron also kind of lost our own storytelling a bit, because we were so focused on like cutting costs, create an efficient tool for car dealers. Like, it's all about cutting costs, be more efficient and balance the cost of running a digital which has not really been 100% digital yet. It's about cutting costs, being more efficient. So that has been like our storytelling for the last year. And now we are like more or less coming back to where we're coming from. Like, how can we help them to sell cars better? How can we create the feelings that will sell your cars better? And if you don't have a video, right, you're invisible today. But a bad video could actually destroy more than the benefits of it. So right now it's all about the quality for us, and we could potentially, I mean, we have 25 engineers working day and night creating and training AI, and we could, if we want to, release super cool, mind-blowing videos. But it's not perfect yet, and you don't want to mess with a used car or a new car. Like, you don't. That was your question before. Like, what happened if you mess too much with a car? We could take away all the reflections, make it look absolutely fantastic, create the sceneries that would just be mind-blowing in the background. But we don't want to mess too much with the car. But we want to guide the buyer to see the most interesting and most important like specs and call-outs for that specific car. But we also want the voice to guide you through the car. But what we are focusing on launching now very soon is basically like 10 times cooler sceneries and videos, but still keeping the focus on the car. But I mean, we have all explored, not all of us, but I think a lot of us have started to explore at least some photo, video tools, AI generated. And it's actually pretty cool what it can do today versus like a year ago.
Yeah.
And we will be launching our own models very, very soon, doing just that, but on a large scale. So now we have the ability to create videos for all the formats, for all channels in real time, all the channels. But the next step now is to create the coolest quality, the best quality, so it actually can help you to sell the car.
So I love that. What you mentioned there is, and I've seen this and I find it really bizarre, when you see a website that looks like it was built in the 80s.
Yes.
And there are still websites out there that look like they were built in the 80s. Like, you can stick that in Canva and do something with
you
it.
Can.
You don't have to have something that looked like the font was from the 80s.
You can go to Lovable and just,
anything. I mean, you don't have to be. We actually spent a long time developing the Drivetime brand. So we worked with a designer, one of our own graphic designers, Jess, and we iterated quite a few different ways of. Once we kind of got the look and feel, we love it, and everything then hangs on that. But the quality of doing this was really important that we got it right. So I think when you say about video is really important, but bad video is really bad.
Yes.
Don't put something out there.
It's the same with images. Sometimes I feel like when talking about video in general, it's not about checking a box. It's about how you present your car, right? So and for the right
and
format.
Your brand, your quality of your brand.
It's the brand, and it's been like, we have images of our car, but now everyone is focusing on creating good images and background removal. It has to look good. We also do that, but it's all about giving the best potential, creating the best engagement, and handing that over to the client. But when it comes to video, sometimes I just hear that, we just check the box, we have video now. But there are different sort of videos, like 10, 15 different formats of videos. But sometimes you just think that checking a box, adding a video, it solves the problems, but it's really not.
One of the things I think we could do a lot better. So you mentioned about fleet, and we work a lot with. So there's a couple of things. We know from speaking to our own customers that probably 2/3 of stock isn't advertised or listed anywhere, actually. So as consumers are searching, you might think, oh, well, I'm going to just, because of time constraint or cost, I don't have all of my vehicles listed. My whole inventory isn't available. So you should be able to list everything everywhere because, you can now list it at speed. But also, because consumers sometimes just want to know, where is it, how much is it, and when can I have it?
Yes.
So it could be that you've got, something's coming in and maybe going through refurb. We did a big discovery with, when I was working at Auto Trader, actually, about the used car process. And we worked with the used car teams at OEMs to say, help us understand how that vehicle goes from defleet back onto a forecourt. And it was probably handled so many times and imaged so many times, but not once was it taken for marketing as a coming soon SKU. So you could actually be building engagement based on somebody's search on stuff that's coming soon. And you know it's going through refurb, so it will look good when it's finished. But you can image and enhance the images and sell the vehicle, so it's sold before you've even got it.
100%.
So I think those are things where technology can do so much of the heavy lifting.
So much. It's all about rules, basically. You can just sit there basically today and steer and create rules, saying like, I want this car and that will, and I want it to happen after X amount of days, and I want it to change to this look after 4 hours, and I want it to publish on that website, and then I want it to gone.
Yeah.
And then I want you to check my stock to see if I have any unsold vehicles has been there for too long. Like, then I wanted to promote that. So it's all about like sitting there and steering.
Yes.
That's basically what will happen. That will actually work today, but I'm not really seeing that many cases.
No, it's not.
It's a lot of talk about AI at the moment,
Yes.
but there's not that many companies actually really doing it.
So, I mean, that's a really good point, Johan. So lots of talk about it. How do people start? And I think that's one of the things is, how do we help people just try to do this? So the whole point of having the AI sort of deep dive is, okay, you're going to hear a lot about it. You've already hit overwhelmed with digital transformation, and now we're giving you AI to contend with. So you mentioned there setting rules. So I think if you were just to look at your business and actually spend some time looking at the shiny tools that you might have that aren't working and you're not really using, so get rid of those. Streamline, think about kind of what good looks like. What are you doing now? What could you do better? And so I think that's a really, what happens now, wouldn't it be great if? So it could be, what happens now, I've only got a third of my stock listed. Wouldn't it be great if I could just have it all available? One. And then how do I make sure that I've got all of the right data around each of those SKUs? So when is it available? Is the pricing correct? Actually invest your time in that bit. Rather than having people walking around a showroom not doing stuff.
Just look at the bottlenecks and the business outcome from solving that bottlenecks, basically. And create, I understand that there's a lot of uncertainty around with AI and automation and stuff like that, but create a playground. Have fun.
Love that.
Have fun together. Try to solve one or two bottlenecks. Throw everyone in that wants to be part of the playground, AI playground, and just have fun and just try to solve some of these bottlenecks. And then once you see that it works, scale. And just start. It's not that hard, actually. And if you look at from A to Z, basically, from the moment you trade in through an auction or whatever you do, and then post-sales, basically from A to Z, you could, or I basically could go to any dealer group today and I could guide them to find tools for every single step and implement throughout the whole buying journey, basically, or sales process. I haven't seen any case today where you have actually applied efficiency to every single step. You could.
Yeah.
You could do that today. And then once the agents are coming, then they will be able to then collaborate with all of these tools, hopefully, and do a lot of this stuff for you. But you have to start first with the data and then start to implement efficiency on every single step. And then you can start to look at the agent. You can't just jump to.
Yeah. It's like, it's plug in an agent. No,
you
come
can
back.
just fast forward. Exactly.
Come back first.
Exactly.
Get your data right.
Yes. Do it now.
And then have a playground of, I think that's a really great idea. And also, we talk a lot about how do we hire, automotive, we compete for talent against all the other big tech. And what we want to do is make sure that we are working with universities to provide early career opportunities to get new people into all jobs across the industry to make this feel like it's a fun place to work. So Johan, thank you so much for joining me today. That was an incredible conversation. I've got a lot of homework to do, I think, now, and I think we'll have a lot of, we'll drop some links as well into the podcast about places where retailers can go and just find out a little bit more information about how they can start to upskill themselves and their teams and build that playground for their workplace. I think work has to be fun and creative. So thank you again so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Been a pleasure.